Ukraine has a new general in charge of its military today. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy abruptly removed his old commander-in-chief yesterday in the biggest shakeup of the country's military since the start of its war with Russia. Zelenskyy has now appointed a well-known general within the Ukrainian military to step in. ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Burridge has more.
The largest shakeup in Ukrainian military leadership since the war began. In a risky move, President Zelenskyy removing Ukraine's commander-in-chief, General Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy, hugely popular among Ukrainian troops, credited for halting Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Zelenskyy's new top commander, General Syrskyi, now taking over at a critical time. With some Republicans blocking more US military aid for Ukraine, our team seeing firsthand last month how frontline Ukrainian artillery units are now running low on ammunition.
Well, you can really feel the force of this American gun.
In Congress, the stakes for Ukraine are high.
If there's one other person besides Donald Trump who is rooting for chaos in the Senate, it is Vladimir Putin.
And without that US aid, Russia threatening to capture this eastern Ukrainian city. Avdiivka in ruins, with Russian forces now making significant advances here and threatening a broader offensive in the coming weeks.
And foreign correspondent Tom Burridge joins me now for more on this. Tom, you watched that interview between Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin. Did it offer any new revelations on where things stand between Russia and Ukraine?
I don't think it really did, Diane. I mean, look, we heard a lot of familiar grievances from Vladimir Putin on Ukraine, a lot of false narratives from the Russian leader, which we've heard time and time again. And what was extraordinary about this interview, if we can really call it an interview from Carlson, was that he failed to challenge the Russian leader when the Russian leader made pretty ridiculous claims. For example, Vladimir Putin claimed that it was the West and Ukraine that started the war 2 years ago and not Russia's unprovoked invasion. And the Russian leader Carlson just failed to actually challenge him on that at all. What we did learn about is Evan Gershkovich, the American journalist in Russian jails for nearly a year now, Wall Street Journal reporter. Putin suggesting that he might be willing to release Gershkovich, saying talks for his release are ongoing. And I think that's the clearest sign yet. It offers some hope for Evan Gershkovich's supporters and his family. Diane?
And Tom, President Zelenskyy also just changed Ukraine's commander-in-chief. Why shake up leadership in the Ukrainian military at this point in the war?
Because Ukraine's counteroffensive over the summer failed. So Zelensky's saying now that he needs renewal. It's also because Ukraine needs to mobilize many more men into the military. We're expecting a new wave of mobilization soon. And we know from Zelenskyy himself and Zelenskyy, the general who's gone, that they were at loggerheads. They didn't agree on how that mobilization should take place. So, you know, it's not an ideal scenario. Western officials have admitted that there has been tension between the two men. But General Syrskyi, who's the new man in charge of the armed forces, is well known to the US and other allies. He's a very experienced general. And soldiers I've spoken to, some sort of wary. They're sad to see Zelenskyy, who was praised for holding Russia back in the early stages of the war. They're sad to see him go. But one soldier messaging me overnight saying, look, I've got full faith in Syrskyi, the new general, and full faith that he is the right man to take on the job at a very difficult time for the Ukrainian military. Diane?
Tom, officials say Russia is firing 5 to 10 times more shells than Ukraine. And last month, you saw firsthand that the Ukrainian artillery units are running low on ammunition. So what does that do for where Ukraine stands right now, especially with Congress in the U.S. not passing any foreign military aid for Ukraine?
Well, it's a massive dynamic. What people have to realize is that artillery is the cover fire for your infantry on the ground. So whether you are Russia at the moment trying to move forward or Ukraine, which is broadly on the defensive right now, if you don't have artillery, if your soldiers, your artillery units cannot fire, then your infantry on the ground are way more vulnerable. And what we're seeing right now in eastern Ukraine around a city called Avdiivka, the Russians are now making significant advances, according to Ukrainian and Russian officials. And if the Russians take that city, and it looks like they are moving in that direction right now, it would be the most significant victory for Russia in at least a year. So it really is the momentum in this war moving in Russia's favor. Diane?
All right, Tom Sufi Burridge in Paris, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.